Hello, hello. Good morning, PST, everyone. All right, I feel like I'm really big. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Good to see you. Good to see you. What did you guys create over the weekend? What have you been creating? I know for me and my group, we created our workshop, How to Create 5K in 30 Days. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessiva Allen. I am a singer-songwriter as well as a crowdfunding artist coach, and I'm really passionate about artists getting funded for their music because I think too many of us sit in our well, I guess our missions, in our mission and our purpose, but we get stuck at the finances. And that I'm really passionate about knowing that artists can get out of that. Artists can really fund themselves if they bring on collaborators. And so that's why I'm so passionate about crowdfunding. And over the weekend, we got to hear from some amazing guest speakers. Andy Baker is one of our guest speakers. He has helped artists create over $1 million for independent artists through his platform Rocket Fuel. And then I got to help artists really incorporate how to use crowdfunding as a overall business structure, as an overall business plan, not like I'm going to crowdfund once and then take the money and run. No, how do you actually use a crowdfund to build your artist career? So we talked a lot about that at the workshop over the weekend. We worked with some amazing artists, about 8 different artists working on their crowdfunds right now. And one of the things that I want to go over today is kind of a question that I think is the basic question of a crowdfund, but a lot of artists struggle with. So the first thing we're going to go over is kind of how to get to that question. But the first thing the question that we asked our crowdfunders over the workshop was, how much do you want to raise? How much do you want to raise? And a lot of people struggled with this. A lot of people struggled. So the first thing I want to show here is kind of Andy Baker's answer. And Andy Baker, again, has helped many artists. They've gathered over $1 million for artists in independent funds for their original projects. And he's been an artist manager in the UK, as well as had a degree in music business. I mean, he's been around the industry for a while, and he really sees the same patterns that I do with artists choosing their number. A lot of artists struggle with this. Like, how do I choose my number? Is it 5K? Is it 10K? Is it 20K? Is it 50K? Right? Because a record label, and for those of you who know this, I mean, it's pretty crazy, but a record label will invest over 100K into an artist to promote some of their music. So how do we as independent artists do this? And I want to share a video with you guys of Andy doing this. And then after we share this video, I'm going to be sharing ways that you can grow your numbers before the project even starts. So once you pick your number, right, how do you grow your fan base beforehand so that it is a move that has momentum in your artist career? So I'm just going to untoggle this here. And I'm going to ask Andy the question, what if someone's struggling with believing that they can crowdfund a bigger number? So he's going to be talking about mindset a little bit. Then we're going to transition at the end of this live to some how-tos. So here we go. What would you say to someone that's failing to believe that big numbers could happen for them? What would you say to someone?
I think the thing is, like, when it comes to making an impact, it's really hard to make an impact with very little money in music and marketing. So, if you believe your music has value to share with people, and sometimes artists are creating, but it really for them it's just a little hobby, and it's a pipe dream that they like to do something with it. But if you know that your music has value, just think about how much you've put into your art. How much did your piano lessons cost you as a kid, or cost your parents? How much did your bachelor's degree cost in music that you did? Start to add up the value that you bring with your art. Put a price on that and think, well, what have I invested in terms of my time, in terms of my education, in terms of my qualifications, in terms of my experience? Then you'll start to get a perspective. What's happened, and this is really, I'm going to touch some hearts here. This is deep stuff. What we've been told through the way the music industry has moved over the past 20 years is your art isn't worth anything. You've been told this because streaming platforms and social media have placed user experience and giving consumers, who they just want on there so they can advertise to them and make big money through advertising, they give consumers everything for free.
Yeah.
Because it gets them there.
Yeah.
What this is, it makes us believe that there art isn't worth anything. So when it comes to putting a price on things, like, is it, I can't ask for 10 grand. Goodness, of course you can. If you've put the work in, if you've put your 10,000 hours into your music, of course you can look for 10 grand. And again, the aim of this 10 grand is that it's a seed to help you make 50 or help you make 100 grand.
Yeah.
And actually do something, and then you can focus your energy and time and effort and skill and talent on, getting to the next level with your art and your craft. So the first thing to remember is art is really valuable. And if you're struggling as well to think that it's bad to ask for support, bad to ask for money, commercial music didn't used to be a thing. The greatest classical composers, they were all supported by patrons.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was basically, it was only the kind of arrival of, the concert hall and then tickets and then the gramophone and all this stuff. And people have commercialized it, and it's been commercialized in a way that has exploited many artists as well.
Yeah.
And now technology is further exploiting artists. But you have to remember that this is the most wonderful gift that we have. Think of society without music. How miserable would it be? Where would we go on a down day? Where would we, we need our artists. This is why, I paid a big price to start a platform. Like we put 3 years of profit.
Okay, so that's Andy Baker talking about if you're struggling to value yourself, if you're struggling to value your art, or have had that struggle, just put me in. I relate to that. What is your takeaway from what Andy just said? I'd love to hear what you're taking away from that, because that was some wise words right there. How do you value yourself? Irreplaceable. I love that, Megan. I love that. Yeah. What's your takeaway from that? There are practicals to choosing your number, and I'm going to go over the practicals in a second here. But that's the first thing to remember. My art is valuable, right? How do you value yourself? Because you're going to talk differently. You're going to approach things way differently when you value it at the high level that an artist from the classical music days who had patrons supporting them did. So if you struggled with that, you're not alone. And there are things that you can do to believe in yourself, get around a community that absolutely believes in you. And I'm going to talk about how to actually practically choose a number right now. So Megan says, my takeaway is that I feel so blessed. I do not exactly relate to what he said. I believe and have faith in my part. Oh, great. So yeah, you're not struggling with it. That's awesome. So hey, Nikki, good to see you. Glamster0, taking a look at here. It's Daryl, Devo Sound, AMCJ, good to see you. Claire says art has value. Exactly. And you have value as an artist. So I love what he said, in our current age, it can be easy to devalue ourselves because that's what technology is telling us. But no, we get to be the difference. I believe in the power of art. I know some people are willing to help, just have to find them. Exactly, Nikki. I love that. Okay, so now I'm curious, if you're someone who has wanted to grow their fan base, if you're someone who has wanted to make sure that when they do their crowdfund or do promote their music, that someone is watching, put me in the chat, because I'm going to talk about how to practically choose your number right now. So when you choose your number for a crowdfund, number one, take notes, guys. This is real stuff right here. This could literally save your artist career. Take notes. Number one, you've got to believe that your art has value. Number two, you've also got to be practical and think about the numbers. So let's just say you want to raise $5,000. Okay, and the average supporter, this is statistically proven, the average supporter is worth about $100. Like if someone donates to your crowdfund, they might be 50, they might be 300, but the average is about 100. So in order to raise $5,000, how many people do you need to talk to if your conversion were 10%, for example? If your conversion were 10% and you needed to raise $5,000, you would need to talk to 500 people, 50 people would donate. Okay, so just be thinking about the math here. And a lot of people might get intimidated by that. I guarantee you most of us have about 500 people on our Facebook list that will respond to us, or just 500 people in general on our Facebook. You know, these can be your fans. They can be your followers that are distant followers, maybe distant friends on Facebook. They can be your friends and family. They can be financial backers who are looking for investment opportunities, like the patrons of the classical music days. So these are the 4 people you're going to be looking for within a crowdfund. And Andy talked a lot about this. If you're wanting to work with Andy and I on a project, definitely put Rocket in the chat. Andy and I are launching a challenge to help about 50 artists crowdfund their next albums or EPs. So if you're someone who wants to be involved in that, it's you know, you just need an email, put Rocket in the chat, and we'll send you the info to get on the waiting list for that challenge that we're launching March 15th. We're launching March 15th. So if you're someone who's ready to crowdfund but necessarily have the funds to, you know, to do upfront coaching with me or something like that, put Rocket in the chat and we can get you started with zero down so that you can actually raise the funds. So go ahead and put Rocket in the chat and we'll get you doing that. So let's talk about practical ways to build up these numbers. Again, put Rocket in the chat if working with Andy, but let's look at some practical ways to build up our numbers here. Can you guys see this? It looks like I need to adjust my screen here for a second. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Put yes if you can see the slide that I have in the screen here. Can you see the screen slide? Okay. So there's a phase to grow your list before you start the crowdfund. And there's really just 2 ways. It's ads and networking. So if you have run ads before, great. If not, there are stats and strategies so that you can, okay, you can see it. Thank you, Nikki. Okay. You can grow your list. So that says grow your list on there. You've got ads and marketing, or ads and networking. And one way to do the ads is obviously set up the ads at Facebook and Instagram, different ways to do that. The second way is networking. So let's just say you know an artist who has similar fans to you, doing social media shout outs before you start your crowd, maybe even interviewing. Oh, Sarakli. Hi, Sarakli. Welcome. Music -1 and arrangement. Welcome. Nikki, I see your question. I'm going to do it. Don't let me forget. So if you're someone who, I don't know if I have 500 people to talk to. These are ways that you can build up your email list before you even start the crowdfund. So social media shout outs from someone who has very similar fans to you. Hit them up on Instagram and say, hey, I'd love to collaborate on something with you. I noticed that we have similar fans. I'd love to share my fan base with you, and you can share yours. That's a way that you can collaborate with someone as far as building up your social media or your email for the crowdfund. Another way is that you can interview them on a podcast, or you can be on a podcast before you start your crowdfund. Bring in people to your community. Artists are just community gatherers. We are just gathering community around our brand, around our around it. And so those are ways that you can actually network before you launch your crowdfund, so that you have to talk to, right? And 10% conversion rate is pretty low. If you have a better relationship with a group, it might be higher than 10%. But we're just going off like a very low kind of standard here. In order to raise 5K, you need 50 people to donate a piece, and then you need 500 people to talk to if you convert at 10%. So just be thinking about that. So ads and networking, these are the two ways that you can build your network, and then you want to direct them to an email list. So the a client that I'm working with, Karen, shout out to Karen Connor, go follow her on Instagram. But she is actually creating a journal prompt right now so that people can opt into her email list. And go follow her, because she's doing a really good job of promoting it before she does her crowdfund, at Karen Connor Music. And you'll see she's posting about it. She's had quite a few people respond to the post and be like, yeah, I want your journal prompts. And in order to do the journal prompts, they have to listen to her music on Spotify. I mean, it's a way to let people in, to let people know about your music. So there are ways that you can grow your list and engage with your audience beforehand. Okay, does that make sense? If that makes sense, say makes sense. And what are you hearing me say? What are you hearing me say? What are some ways that you can build your list before the crowdfund? All right, here's some practicals, guys. Let's talk about some ads that you can run, some ways to I kind of talked about ways that you can build your network, but let's talk about the ads more specifically. There's an if you like this type of music ad. So if you like Sarah Bareilles and Regina Spektor, you'll love my music. That's a great ad to do, because you're using a artist that people already like, that is already famous, that has already collected fans. That's one way that you can run an ad and say, hey, if you like this type of music, come join my community. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on mine. Okay, that's the first type of ad. The second type of ad is introduce yourself ad. Hey, I'm an indie artist from the Bay Area, and I love the genre of rock. I love rock music, and so I decided to write rock music myself. And my music is about, love and anger, right? My music is about this, and come join my community. That's another type of ad. You could do an ad during the crowdfund saying, hey, I'm an independent artist. I'm running a crowdfund. If you like my music, would love for you to come on this journey as I raise the funds. That's a third one. The last one I'll say that I didn't say before is you could literally just post an ad about you singing. I actually have followed artists just because I liked their singing ad, and it works. So that is a simple way to do it. You could also do a singing ad that's, you in a cool area, in a cool location, and it's just like stunning. It's very visually appealing, and also people like the music. So those are some ads that you can run to grow your fan base before you start campaigning. So you can again, let's go to networking. You can interview someone with the audience email. You can do social media lives with people, and someone can interview you on their podcasts. So I'd love to know in the chat, what's speaking to you? Is ads speaking to you? Is networking speaking to you? Or is both speaking to you? Right? And if you're going to collect emails with a gift, what kind of gift would you like to give? And then I think I'm going to, let's see. Okay, so this is something that I walked through in my last workshop, guys. And if you're curious on how to grow your fan base before the crowdfund even starts, go ahead and put workshop in the chat, and I can get you some details about how you can workshop this with me one-on-one. And network. Okay, Megan, I see you. I see it. Networking is awesome. Oh, am I big now? Okay, here we go. So networking is a great way to do it, Megan. I'd love to know, would you want to interview someone? Would you want someone to interview you? All you have to do is send out some messages. To know the exact scripts on how to how to do those messages, put workshop in the chat, and I can get you info on how to workshop that with me one-on-one. Even though the group workshop is over, I'm doing some personal workshops throughout March. And then if you're wanting to partner with me and Andy at the end of this and in March 15th, put rocket in the chat and I'll get you the info. So Clara is going to send you some links if you've put workshop or rocket in the chat. Again, put rocket in the chat if you want to work with Andy and I on our challenge that we're helping 50 artists crowdfund their next albums starting March 15th. Put rocket in the chat. And if you're wanting to workshop growing your fan base before the crowdfund even starts, I see you, Jem. I see you. I see Rocket. Put workshop in the chat, and I can help you grow your fan base before you start. So thank you guys so much. It was great joining you guys for live. I'd love to know what's your greatest takeaway from today. Put it in the chat. And I will follow up with you guys. For those of you who put rocket and workshop, Clara will send you the links so that you guys can get that situated for March. So guys, it's not impossible. You can create 5K, you can create 10K in the next 90 days, in the next 60 days, in the next 30 days. And if that were possible, would it be worth it? So put those things in the chat if you want some links to participate, and have a great day. Thanks, guys.